Hello and welcome to Nutrition and Alternative Medicine. I'm JJ Flazanes, your host. Thank you for downloading today's show. We're in the home stretch. The next big step is this week. So you have about 2 days for the very, very last chance if you want to join us live, and also if you want to get the virtual ticket. I am going to take it down. You will not be able to purchase it at this price when the event starts. So that would be Thursday, September 20th will be the last. Actually, you can't buy it then. You have to buy it on Wednesday. So the last day to buy the virtual ticket is tomorrow, Wednesday, September 19th. And again, the virtual ticket is not a live stream. You will not be asked or required or expected to sit at a computer from Thursday at 4 o'clock until Sunday at 2 o'clock Pacific time. You will get the videos and the courses and the presentations and the handouts and the worksheets and the audios and the meditations and the exercises all in a home study course after the event is over. And one of the things I offered at this event was also a 3-month accountability program, which I will be putting together and announcing to those who've purchased that once a month we are going to be getting together on a call to have that accountability, to make sure that you have, as well as in a Facebook group, that you have reviewed the videos, or for those who've attended, that you've done the work and that you've taken a step towards that which you want. So today's show is about emotional centeredness and the law of attraction. And while it is applicable to every area of your life, we're going to specifically be focusing on relationships. I did this interview on Rebecca Boatman's series about how to attract the perfect man. And we did it back in June, I believe. And I hadn't even come out, so to speak, of the closet yet with my new relationship. So it's really fun to go back and listen to where I was then. And you guys all know by now what's going on. But I hope that you can hear the respect, the admiration, the gratefulness, the appreciation, and the forgiveness that I have about everything that's happened and gone on. And I mean, I feel pretty centered in that interview. I just listened to it as I was editing it for you today. And the advice is good and solid. It's what I've done. It's what works. And I also invite you into the next manifestation challenge. And that is going to be in November of this year. That's the last one of the year. For those of you that have already subscribed to want to be in the group, hopefully by now I've let you in. But usually I only allow people in the group about a week before the next challenge. But there's a bunch of you sitting there in the wings and I feel badly. So I'm going to invite you in. And so look around, watch the videos, do the audio. Well, actually, you don't have access to that yet, but you can go back and watch some of the videos to get caught up to speed for the 30-day challenge. So with that, I'm going to just remind you one last time that if you're on the fence, now would be the time to jump. Get off the fence. Come join us at the next big step. The next event is in January, the 10th to the 13th. It's Releasing What Weighs You Down. And if that's a better fit for you, there still is a 5-payment plan option available. So don't bitch and whine to me about price. I'm giving you a payment plan. So get your butt there. It's a very small, intimate room where we are really dedicated to your transformation. This is not about money for me. It never has been. This is about taking all of the things that we do on this show, everything we talk about, everything you want, and we make it happen. We put you in a vibrational state for you to attract the change, the inspiration, the ideas, the shifting that you want, because otherwise we're just all blowing hot air, and that is not interesting at all to me. I want to make sure that this changes your life. I want to see it happen. I want to witness it happen. I want to support it happening in a bigger and more meaningful way. So jjflazanes.com/next big step. Last chance. You have 24 hours or 48 hours if you're getting this on download day, which is Tuesday, to buy a ticket or to buy a virtual ticket before the price will go up after the event is over and I recreate it into a different product. Okay? Enjoy today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Attract the Right Man interview series. I am your host, Rebecca Boatman, and today I am so honored to bring you JJ Flazane. She is an empowerment strategist and the host of several podcast shows, including Fit to Love and Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. She is the director of Invisible Fitness and Amazon best-selling author of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life, and the author of NAC Absolute Abs, Routines for a Fit and Firm Core. She was named Best Personal Trainer in LA for 2007 by Elite Traveler magazine. JJ has been featured in many national magazines, including Shape, Fitness, Muscle, and Fitness Hers, Elegant Bride, and Women's Health, as well as appeared on NBC, CBS, Fox 11, The CW, and KTLA. Her newest book, The Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 Secrets to Release Weight and End Body Shame, debuted at #1 on the Amazon bestseller list for Women's Health. Hello, JJ, and welcome.
Thanks, Rebecca, for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited today to talk about emotional centeredness.
Yeah, it's a hot topic that I think more people need to understand, because when they can take their power back and understand they can do it for themselves, you actually attract much higher results and you get what you want a lot faster when you understand that you have the power within you to start that process.
Ah, yes. So I would love to know. I want to ask about the process. I want to ask everything. And I think my first question for you and for the listeners, just to get, is what does it mean to be emotionally centered?
Well, what comes to me when I think about that phrase would be peace
Mm-hmm.
and stability and joy and freedom. So to me, emotional centeredness means that I have an awareness and I've got a groundedness and I'm in my body
Mm-hmm.
and my spirit's in my body and I'm calm and peaceful and operating from the inside out. And that my nervous system is calm and it feels like it doesn't have any resistance. It feels easy. It feels centered.
Yeah, I feel like now I shouldn't be drinking coffee. So I'm thinking the only time I'm not feeling that way is when I've had too much coffee. So anything outside of that, say if we're anxious, if we're stressed, if we're worried, if we're resistant, that would mean we're off center, correct?
Well, it means you're susceptible to be taken down a path you may not choose to go down, and you have like a lack of strength in that area. So let's say if I'm emotionally centered, things can go on around me that don't trigger me, and I can stay centered. I can stay sort of following my own intuition, following my own impulses. But when you're off center, when you're not in alignment with who you are, and when you're not focused in a way that utilizes and harnesses your own energy, then it's a lot easier to be triggered by somebody else. And then all of a sudden you're going down the rabbit hole of another emotion or a reaction to somebody else that takes you very far away from where you want to be emotionally.
Mm, wow, wow. So why do you feel like emotional centeredness is important in order to have a healthy relationship?
Well, emotional centeredness is empowerment. Emotional centeredness means you take responsibility for your own emotions. And I think one of the biggest unfortunate, very prevalent ideas about relationships is that you think that it's someone else's job to make you happy. And it's someone
Oh,
else's job to provide you happiness. So most people who are looking for relationships, whether it be if you're in a love relationship or even just any relationship, friendships even, you're looking for someone a lot of the time who quote unquote makes you feel good.
mhm.
And the problem with that is it's unstable, it's unstable. You can't guarantee that someone's always going to act and react and talk and be in a way that will resonate with you. And so you put the power outside of yourself, and it's really, really detrimental in relationships to give the power away, because then you get to blame and become a victim. And
Oh,
really, that's the difference between victim mentality and it being empowered. When you understand that you're the creator of your own reality, you never, ever have to give up that power to somebody else, even when you could say this situation is creating negative feelings, and it can be. It doesn't mean, though, you have to let it rule you or change you so dramatically. If you're emotionally centered and in a situation that is bringing you frustration or isn't getting you what you want, If you're focused on what you're not getting, you will stay in a state of being frustrated. If you can change your frequency to say what is working, whether it be within that relationship, and that would actually be best if you focused within that frustrating relationship as to what is working and start to highlight and amplify all the things that really are working, then you will find you start to attract better response and you can shift out of that.
I don't know why this is reminding me of where A Course in Miracles says a miracle is just it's like a shift in perception away. It's something like that. I think I'm butchering it, but everything you're sharing with me is. Are you familiar with Course in Miracles?
Yes.
You know what quote I'm talking about?
No, because that book, when I bought it, overwhelmed me and felt as I started to dive through it, there are definitely quotes and phrases that I've heard from Wayne Dyer, from Marianne Williamson, that I definitely resonate with. But there's a lower vibration to the Course in Miracles than I expected when I actually dove into it. I was so excited to get into that book, and I'm sure I could pick out a whole bunch of things that would work for me. But at first I was like, this feels old. Like it feels like it's not up to date. And up to speed, quite like to be more accurate. It's not really up to speed with where I am or with what, but I'm sure I can extract a whole bunch of stuff that would be. It's just, I didn't feel like I wanted to go through the work of, it's like a Bible. It's like a Bible. It's just gigantic. And there's so much of it.
There's so much of it. I'm like looking for the quote right now. I totally get it. It is huge. I've like listened to people talk about it. But back to what you were saying, one thing that you said was, if you don't, if you're disempowered, then you're in victim and you're blaming. And I think it's super important for anyone listening, because we all know people like that, and maybe some of the people listening are those people. And it is no, and I've been there too, and it's no fun to be in that space of constantly giving your power or your happiness or your life away to someone else, like making someone else dependent upon making you happy. And I would love, I guess where I'm kind of going with this, JJ, is looking for words of encouragement to those who may feel in that space. They may feel like they need to meet a man in order to then feel XYZ. And I understand that's not the case. So do you have any words of encouragement to really support people and to empowering them to become emotionally centered?
You attract where you are. So you can only attract the quality of a relationship based on the quality of a relationship you have with yourself in this given moment. So with that said, if you feel a lack in your life and you feel like you're trying to fill a hole, you will find someone to fill the hole. But it may not be the quality of a relationship that you want because it's coming from a place of lack and fear. When you can get into the place where you don't need anything. See, the other issue with relationships, again, because we believe it's someone else's job to make us happy, and because if I'm not happy, that gives me a right to ask for someone to change so that I am happy. And even just, if you just think about that logically, forget being in the situation and people being triggered and then thinking, well, it must be you because I didn't feel this way before. And now I feel this way. Right. But what someone triggers you, it's because they can only trigger you if it's already in you.
Yeah.
So if you've aligned with, if they've said someone has said something to you, let's say, for instance, they have said, like something about your looks or your self-worth in some way, and you take that and it really bothers you, it's because somewhere you agree with that, or at some level you agree with that. You can't get triggered when someone says something you aren't in alignment with.
Yeah, I right through you like air.
Right. You're like, yeah, okay. You're like, okay, you're obviously upset about something. It doesn't bother you. Yeah. So triggers and those unhealed wounds that live in us get triggered by other people, and it's an opportunity for you to heal your wounds. But until you do, you're going to line up against people who trigger you until you learn them. Yeah. So when it comes to manifesting a relationship or even love out of a relationship, I mean, I've done it now twice, quite perfectly, honestly. Because it aligns with where I am, what I want, where I'm going. And this whole time I'm happy, pretty much. Like, I've asked people who have known me through different stages of my relationships and even in transition of one to another, and asked, well, people who I had no idea that you were going through this. And I said, do you think I'm a happy person? Oh my God, you're so positive. You're so happy. Because I've never given the power over to anybody else to
Yeah.
say, because I'm not getting this out of our relationship, or you're upset and you want to leave this relationship. I've never used that as a reason for me to focus on something that would then make me feel, I don't know, responsible, or feel, I'm proactive. I do what I can to fix things. But at the same time, everyone's responsible for their own thoughts and feelings and their own baggage that they come into any relationship with. So
Mhm.
back to the original question of, when I manifested my husband back in, well, a long time ago at this point, like 10, 12 years ago,
Mhm.
I went back into my mind and thought how that happened. It made me write a book. I wrote Fit to Love, how to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit to attract the love of your life.
Mhm.
And that book then became my podcast, which then has split into 6 other podcasts. And that premise was that you can, based on my journey of manifesting him at that time, I was happier than I'd ever been at that time. I didn't need him. I didn't need a relationship. In fact, all my needs were being met on every level except maybe sex, but I have some toys, so that wasn't an issue. But in terms of, I had male companionship, I was going dancing, I was exercising, I was eating well, I was traveling, I was going to the movies, I was cooking dinner with friends. I had a very full, rich life, and
Mhm.
I didn't need anybody. And so that's when it happened. They say it happens when you're not expecting it, when you least expect it, but I was also in a really good state. And
Yeah.
so fast forward now, that relationship is transitioning. And while there were bumps in the road towards, or as we're coming to that transition,
Mhm.
I did the only thing I could do, which was to use the law of attraction, use vibration and frequency, use my power of focus to focus on what I wanted. Because basically, you're the creator of your own reality. And wherever you are in your frequency, you're going to get what it is you want. If you believe you can have it and you live at that frequency, you will get what you want. Now, you may get it in a different way.
Mhm.
You may not get it the way you think you want it, but
Mhm.
if you're in alignment with what you want, you will get it. So I had practiced for months and months what I wanted, and focused on, rather than focus on all the bad things or focus on what I wasn't getting, I would make lists. I would do visualizations. I would do exercises where I was literally creating the perfect relationship situation in my mind. And the minute I was able to surrender and release my current relationship and say, it's okay. Like, obviously, if you want to go, then at this point, I'm not going to hold you to it. And maybe this is best. The second I surrendered, the
Mhm.
universe provided me the exact thing I was asking for. Now, I thought it was going to come from my current partner. I thought for sure that's how I was going to get it.
Mhm.
And so it was a shock when, like, not even a day later, I was like being faced with the universe literally shoving another person in my face saying, no, no, this is what you've been asking for.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, it was such the most perfect manifestation. I mean, it was perfect when I manifested my husband the first time, but
Yeah.
now here we are in another situation where there's been this smooth transition, but I literally have never lost faith in that I can get what I want. I can be treated the way I want. I can have a partner who's willing to do what it takes, who wants to be on the journey, wants to be on the journey this way. I never lost sight of that. And I did 100% I could get it. No, I did think I could get it from my current partner, but that's, again, if you believe it, the universe will give you what it is you are in alignment with, and boom, it just happened, and it's amazing. So I now have done it twice, so
You go,
I
girl.
I I can speak from experience
Mhm.
of how the perfection of divine timing and law of attraction works when you seriously take responsibility for your own thoughts and feelings, your own emotional baggage, heal what you need to heal, visualize what it is you want, get in alignment with that, and trust me, you will be provided for.
Oh, this is so powerful. And I'm so happy you're sharing from personal experience because it makes a difference. And one question that's coming up is I know that some of the listeners may have fear around taking responsibility for their own um, happiness and their own emotional centeredness. So, why is it that you feel like sometimes people are afraid to actually be in that sort of radical ownership?
Because it feels very easy to blame somebody else. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of work, and it takes a courage to look yourself in the mirror and accept responsibility for what you've created.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you have a choice of whether or not you want to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are aware that you're making these choices and that you're attracting these things, then it makes it really hard to turn back and ignore all the things you're creating. So I think that conscious awareness provides a uh-oh. And for a lot of people, I mean, I know relationships, marriages, other relationships that aren't working and that haven't worked and that probably won't work, but people stay in them because it's comfortable and they're more afraid of what happens if I leave, or what happens if I do take responsibility. Because sometimes taking responsibility for your thoughts and feelings means you may have to take an action. And if that action rocks your world and disturbs your norm in a way that's uncomfortable for you, you may not take it. So sometimes staying numb, staying unconscious, staying asleep is the easier path for people who don't like change or who don't believe they deserve anything better.
No, like I don't want to stand for that, JJ. We have to wake everyone up.
They have to want it. Unfortunately, they have to want it. And the only thing we can do is be as awake as we all can be, and to visualize people waking up, and to trust and stand in that place where people can gravitate towards that. You never want to come down to where somebody is if they're sort of lower. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I just mean if someone's coming from a victim place, they're coming from a negative feeling, they're depressed, they're repressed, they're angry, and you step down to where they are, you give them no room to grow. It's actually a form of enabling. So holding the space a little higher in a happier place where ultimately everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
You sort of almost hold the light for them to show them the way. And the best way to teach is to be an example, not to tell people what to do, but to show them the power of what works. I mean, at this stage, I know this, we're in July here, but at this stage, I haven't really even made this announcement to my community or to my people. And then there's the half of my tribe that I want to share with, because it's the proof. Oh my gosh, there's a picture that I saw in January of my new relationship. Although that back then there was nothing, it was just a picture. And I thought to myself, wow, I really want to be in that scene. It had nothing to do with the person at the time. And that was in January. And when this all transitioned, I literally was in that picture last weekend. And I took the picture, and he said, you better timestamp this because this is amazing. It's like less than, well, I guess we're in 6 months. Yeah, we're 6 months. 6 months did I not only did I manifest what I wanted, I'd worked a little harder than 6 months on my current relationship, or my whatever I'm in. But that picture is so perfect. I thought, oh my gosh, like I was even nervous this weekend going there, because I thought, I'm going to be in that picture. Like I'm actually creating exactly what I looked at and had no conscious awareness of what was going to happen in this last 6 months, but looked at it and thought, I want that.
Wow.
And I got that.
Girl, I just got full body chills. Oh, and I know this is kind of, I love rabbit holes, so I can totally see us going down a rabbit hole on this, but it's almost like, it sounds like what happened with you was there was a desire without attachment. And I feel like there's so much power to that. It's like there's something that you wanted, yet you weren't strangling it. And I think that that's just beautiful. And there's a lot of power to that. And I would love to know your thoughts around that.
Totally. I mean, like I said, I know and trusted that I was going to get what I wanted, and I was open to it coming however it was going to come. And law of attraction says you get it in the path of least resistance. I really thought the path of least resistance was going to be my husband. I really, really, really did. Yeah. And I thought by taking a break from our relationship and separating, that would give him and I space to sort of have some aha moments. I had no idea that the path of least resistance was going to be somebody else. And that this was going to be so clear, so easy, and so obvious. I mean, I even looked back at a list that I journaled. I wrote my journal last night, and as I opened it up and I went back pages and pages and pages, and I saw the exact list of what I said I wanted, and I have it. It's like magic, but the magic part of it is that, yes, you have to believe it's possible. You have to practice being emotionally in alignment with what it is that you want. And then you do have to give up control and surrender and say, allow the universe, God, source, whatever you call that, creator, to just line it up for you. You've asked. You are now in receiving mode by being in the right frequency. And then you have to allow it to be presented to you. You can't control how it happens. You can try to influence other people by thinking about them in the most positive light. Like I said, if you're having an issue in your relationship, it doesn't always take two people to fix some issues in a relationship. As long as one person is willing to treat it differently, to have different expectations, to focus on what is working, to lighten up a little bit, maybe to work on some of their stuff, the reasons why they get triggered. If one person is willing to shift their energy about that relationship, the whole relationship can transform.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One thing also that you said that is you have to start practicing being in the emotional state or feeling. You used your own words for it. So, um, what do you recommend for the ladies listening where they want it, right, and they have the desire? How do they get their emotions behind it as well? Because I understand there's a, we can want things, but if we don't believe that we are available for them or we're worthy of them, then we're not going to be an open space to receive them. So for people listening, what do you um encourage as far as just getting their emotional body behind their desires?
Well, again, first of all, you have to be awake and recognize what your feelings are and what's going on with you and why, and your own relationship with yourself. So like I said, Fit to Love, that book and the podcast started out as a movement to encourage people to come at self-care from a place of love and not self-hatred and shame. And I think it's the same thing with relationships. If you're single or you're in a not good situation, and to really take responsibility for, what lessons you're supposed to be learning, what roles do you play in that? Are you being a good example of how you want someone to treat you? People want someone to treat them like a queen, but are you treating you like a queen, or are you treating yourself like a second class citizen? And if that's the case, you can't expect somebody else to do what you're unwilling to do for you. It will only last for a little while until they get hip to the fact that you don't like you as much as they like you. And that's going to change their opinion of you. So you have to really work on that relationship with yourself and start to really look at your own self-talk, look at your own thoughts and feelings and interpretations of things. Take responsibility for your emotions and getting your own needs met. There's the work of Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, called Nonviolent Communication. And while the book is awesome and the movement is awesome, I teach it at my workshops and I talk about it on the podcast and I've got a show on it. It's a really great way for people to start being aware of things that you may not even be aware of. Like you may not even understand how frustrated or afraid of things you are because certain needs aren't being met. But the minute you can be empowered to get your own needs met, all of a sudden those emotions aren't the same anymore. You're not feeling the same way. And so to get into alignment with what it is that you want, you got to clean up the path to get there. And that's going to take some self-exploration. It's going to take some self-healing. And, again, you don't have to go down that path. It is a little bit of work, but the freedom and the amazing results you get because of that are worth the self-reflection, worth getting some help with, and worth cleaning up. If you really want to have an amazing life, I don't really see any other choice but to take responsibility for the stuff that you can take responsibility for.
Yes. Oh, this is so good. And I love that you kind of honed in that it's worth it, because it so is worth it, living from an empowered place of like, wow, it's just so much that becomes available when you come from radical ownership and responsibility. And I love the story that you shared of how also the part of, one other thing that I would love for you to kind of dive into about how you wanted something, you took a break and you wanted something, but you weren't attached to the how. And I feel like sometimes people get so attached to the how, like, oh, I have to meet him through a mutual friend. Like I have to meet him from Match. Like they're so stuck on the strategy that they're actually straining the universe, and they're closing themselves off to possibilities. So since I would just love for you to kind of talk about the magic of not knowing the how.
Well, while you're welcome to visualize and think about and hope for a how, the just having a little room for possibility that it may come from another place releases some of the resistance to getting it. When you put yourself in a place where you think you can only get it in one way, and that's for everything in life, from business to friendships to your love relationship to whatever. When you think you know the way, you create resistance, and that resistance deflects and prevents you from getting what you want, because it may not come in the way you think you're supposed to have it. So you're just delaying the process because you're not going to get it that way. And if you do eventually get something in the way that you think you should, who knows if it's the right and best thing for you. It may just be what it may be in alignment with where you are, which is you have a lot of resistance. So for me, I've just experienced this huge shift from being with somebody who's got huge resistance to being someone who has no resistance. And it's like night and day. And I don't have resistance. I mean, I had some, of course, like we all do to certain things, but I worked on releasing and surrendering and being in receiving mode and knowing and trusting and believing 100% without a shadow of a doubt that I would get what I wanted, provided that I was in receiving mode. So you have to let go of those ideas that you have because they're really limited, and start asking questions, start reading books, start seeing people's testimonials about how they did whatever it is that you want to do, because then it opens you up to other possibilities. Like, oh, like I read Entrepreneur Magazine. Well, not anymore, but I used to. And I sometimes would read it because I just wanted to see how someone created a company that out of nothing and this idea. And it's like, wow, like I would never have thought of that. And I can't believe that was possible. And that's why testimonials of anything inspire people, because it gives you a new perspective and broadens your possibility of, okay, maybe it can happen this way. So I definitely think having your reins so tight on a how will prevent you from getting what you want.
Yeah. Oh, you explain that beautifully. And I always say, I'm like, you never know. Like he could be in the grocery store. Like you really just don't know. So I love that you honed that in. And I can't believe, JJ, how time is flying right now. You have so much good stuff to share. Is there anything on your heart that you feel just called right now to share with these women? I don't have a specific question, but I'm just thinking if there's anything else that you really want to drive home to them, then I would be happy for you to share it, and also your free gift so they know how they can follow you and be in your world and learn from you. Continue.
Sure. Well, I'm feeling called to share the story about how I attracted my husband and years ago, because I was already dating somebody. I had just broken up with an ex-boyfriend, who I was not in love with for sure. But I knew that was never going to really work. So I was sad, but it was part of the process. And I was dating somebody who I was having a good time with, but also knew that wasn't really going to be forever. So I was definitely distracted. I had plenty of other things going on. And I met him at a football Super Bowl party, and I wasn't looking. And it was sort of an emotional hit that I had that of a little bit of interest. And I thought, he had some red flags, and some of those red flags have definitely taken their toll. But in the beginning, I ignored them, which, it's the path I had to go down. Without the relationship that I've had, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be able to speak about all this the way that I can. I wouldn't have attracted my life and gone on the journey that I have. And I don't regret a single day of it. It really made me who I am. And it was part of the contract. But we had this energy. And I reached out to the friends who threw the party after the party, and I asked if he had asked about me, and they said no. But yet there was this I listened to my intuition, and my intuition said, there's something there, follow it. So I said, okay, I need you to have another party. I need to be in another environment where I'm going to see him again and see if there's anything there. And so that party, because it had no football game on, was like fireworks happening. And it was really awesome. Now, fireworks happening, we both are dating other people. We know we like each other, but we're dating other people. And at this point, I had grown in my adulthood and femininity to understand that I wanted a man. I wanted someone who was going to step up, take action, and decide when he wanted to be with me. And because I'm a very strong person, so I could have very easily said, hey, do you want to go out, or do you want to go do something? And he would have said yes. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted, we're both dating other people. So basically, after that second meeting, it took 8 months for him to reach out to me and ask me out. Then there was a couple emails in between and maybe a phone call or two, but 8 months. Now, I wasn't attached. Here's another situation where I was vision boarding, like The Secret was out at the time. I was doing vision boards, I was doing journaling and visualizations. And while his essence was in my mind when I did my vision board and when I was doing my visualization, I kind of erased his face, because I thought, all right, I'm not attached to that's him, because I don't know if it's supposed to be him. I'm attached to the idea of what he represents. I like the hope that I feel about someone like him. And most women hear me say that it took him 8 months to sort of get together with me. And that first date was our last date. And that first date, even before our second date, we were talking about getting married. So it was super, super quick. But, most women think, oh my God, like you had a conversation and he didn't call you back. Like, guys, there's timing. And when I would tell single women the story, they just really love to hear, they feel hope that it took 8 months, because I decided that I wanted someone who was going to step up and come get me and would say they were ready. Yes, he was interested, but if he wasn't asking me out, there was a reason. So I had enough like confidence and courage to say, then you're not the right person, because I'm super clear. I need someone who knows I'm the right person, a 100%, wants me 100%, is going to take the effort and energy to do that. So it's not always what it looks like. And for women that are dating, trust the process. And again, always come home to that emotional centeredness, come back to who you are and what you have to give. Don't wait to live your life. Don't wait to do fun things or travel or have a companion or go out to dinners or buy yourself flowers. Do whatever you need for you. Love yourself like like you want a partner to love you, and allow that partner to find you. And
Oh,
after, so yeah.
no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I think it's so important. I love that you're sharing this. You're on a roll.
Yeah. Well, allow your partner to find you, or to attract the situation where you're going to find each other. Because while it happened to me once that time, it also happened to me again not too long ago. And it was the same situation. Of the minute I released control of my situation and said, okay, be free. Let's part ways. And I did everything I possibly could. I feel 100% about that. I've forgiven myself for anything I might have done. I don't feel like anything's been a mistake. I feel like we're right on time, and still had hope that it would turn around. But after I released and surrendered, I got exactly what I wanted in someone else. But it's the perfect right thing. And I'm super happy. I was happy before. I'm just happier now because now I have exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that, how it's so unexpected, and just it gives the girls so much hope, it really does. And how it happened, and you weren't attached, you weren't straining it. And I love that you shared, some people would say, whoa, it took 8 months, yet I was just like, yeah, there's timing, there's those things. And I love how you mentioned the word surrendering multiple times, and it's just it's so encouraging. And it takes so much courage. It takes so much courage to surrender. It really does. So thank you so much, JJ, for being the example. And I would love for you to just explain what your free gift is, so that way they know what they get from you and to be in your world.
Absolutely. I have multiple podcasts, but one in particular called Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. And what came out of gathering a tribe who listens to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy is the need to help facilitate some accountability for using some of these law of attraction practices, the ones that I've been doing and that I promote and that work for me, and even ones that don't work for me but work for other people. So I created a 30-day free manifestation challenge, and it doesn't happen every month, and it's free. You come into the group and there are instructions and some audios that you get to use while we're on the challenge. So things like the chakra clearing and an 8-minute visualization. There's a podcast on how to build a vision board and why your vision board's not working for you. And there's other emotional inherited DNA clearings. There's some healings. There's some affirmations. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you get to use while you're on the program that's all free. And then you get the accountability every day of the group and of the tribe holding you accountable to doing the practices. And it is limited, meaning I only let you in if you go through the steps. So you have to want to do it, and you have to want to be a part of it. And I definitely would love anyone who is interested in manifesting more love, money, or happiness, or health to come on over and check it out.
Oh, I love that level of accountability. It makes such a difference when you have, you make public declarations, and the fact that it's all about, really manifesting, or, attracting in what you desire. So everyone listening, make sure that you click the link on this page, and that you receive your free gift while you can. And that way you're also in JJ's world. She has so much to share. Thank you so much, JJ, for everything. This was beautiful.
Thank you for asking me, Rebecca. It's my pleasure. And I hope to inspire people to understand they really can get exactly what they want.
Yes, exactly what they want. They can attract the right man. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. And I just want to remind you, we have very limited spots left for the next big step. Come on over to jjflazanes.com/next big step to get your live ticket or your virtual ticket if you can't make it to LA, so you can get all the same information in the comfort of your own home. jjflazanes.com/next big step.